recording, so I'm recording now, and practice this before. Okay, good. So so we're going to check out how to create the while loops that'll run this game, right? And so let's get started. I'll just share my screen. We'll start with this. So to begin with, I just wanted to show you this this flowchart, right? And so it might look a little bit confusing, but it's pretty straightforward. We start over here at the beginning of the game. We're going to set up our variables. So the number of matches, the player turn, the computer turn, and the player name. And then we're going to ask for what their name is. Then we're going to print a greeting using their name. Then we're going to print out the game rules, right? So that's the bit that in my code it just says blah blah blah, but you'll obviously write in some actual text there that actually helps people understand what the game is. So then we go over here to the first while loop, right? And so we haven't done this, we haven't coded this yet. I'm going to show you how to do that today. So is the number of matches less than 1? Actually I should put less than or equal to 1. And if it is, then wait, I think this is the wrong way. So if it is, then we go to the end of the game, right? And if it's not, then we keep going. So at the end of the game, so if there's only one match left, so then you just say sorry, you lose, right? If not, then we keep playing the game. So we're going to go input player move here, and I'm just going to let Kobe in just a second. Hi Kobe. I'm just recording the session to explain how this how the Matchstick game works. Let me go see. Oh, here we go. We're going to go to this input the player move, right? So we're going to ask for an input from them, and then we're going to check to see if the move is legal. If it is, then we're going to keep going. If it's not, we're going to kick them back and get them to create another input, right? So we're going to keep them in this loop until the answer to is this move either 1, 2, or 3, yes, right? So we're going to update the number of matches, and then we're going to go over here to oh wait, what was this? Update the number of matches. I think this is an extra, well, we don't really need this box. We're basically going up over here to update the number of matches, and then we're going to print. So it'll say something like, there are now this many matches left. Then the computer's going to, or the program's going to compute its move, which is, we do using this little formula here. So the computer move is equal to 4 minus the player move. And then we're going to update the number of matches again and print, right? Then we're going to check again, is the number of matches less than or equal to 1? If it is, then we're going to end the game, right? So these two sort of diamonds here are the two things that we're going to deal with today. Right, so let's go and have a look at our code and see if this all makes sense. So I'm going to share this tab here now. So this is what we've got at the moment, right? So we've got our variable set up. We've asked the player for their name using an input statement, an input assignment function. Then we're going to print out a string of words with their name in it, right? And then we're going to print the rules of the game, and then in the next thing we're going to have the player take their turn. Then we're going to do our calculation to update the number of matches, and then we're going to print the number of matches on the next line here. Then the computer's going to compute its turn. So the computer turn, this is a variable, right, which we set up here with a blank or an empty piece of data. And we're going to update it to be equal to 4 minus the integer, so the player turned into an integer, right? And then we'll update the number of matches again, right, using the computer turn. So we're going to take the original number of matches and we're going to subtract the computer's turn from it, and then we'll print out how many matches there are left and how many matches that the computer is going to take, right? So if we just run that, so it starts with, hi, what's your name? So Andrew, and hi Andrew, let's play Matchsticks, blah, blah, blah. How many matches do you want to take? I'll choose a legal move this time, so I'll just go 2, and there are now 19 matches. I'll take 2, there's now 17 matches, and then the program terminates because there's no while loop, right? So let's start by creating the game loop here, right? And so the way we do that is we start off by typing in while, so that is the function, and then matches. Whoops, that wasn't right. Matches is greater than, greater than 1, right? And then put a colon after that. Now, when we do that, the next line, you'll notice the next line of code is now underlined in red. And that's because the way that Python works is it will create a while loop, and everything that's indented once after the while loop will be in that loop, right? And so currently there's nothing in that loop, and that's why it's showing an error. So we're just going to go to each of our lines here, and we're just going to hit tab once for each line. We don't need to do it for the comments. We're just going to indent all of this. Now, if you are writing this code kind of from scratch, you probably won't do it this way. You probably won't write the lines and then go back because it makes things a bit things a bit harder in terms of making sure that you indent the right number of things. So let's see if this works. Right, so we're going to run the game again. What's my name? Andrew. And hi Andrew, let's play Matchsticks. All right, how many do I want to take? I'm going to choose a legal move, 3. Okay, so now there are now 18 matches, I'll take 1. There are now 17 matches, and then again, so notice that I've looped through, right? So it's looped back around. So it got to the end of the indented section, right? And then it went back up to the while loop statement, and it's checking now, right? Is matches less than 1? No, it's not, and so it keeps going, right? So let's see, I'll take 2 this time. Might as well check here, and then so that works. We're down to 13, and we're down to 9, and then 3. I'll take 3. Now I think I did this wrong. Oh no, that's right. So there are now 1 matches left, right? And so this is the end of the game. So all we need to do now is not indented, just print sorry, you lose. All right, so we just printed that. So let's run that again. I'll just go through this nice and fast this time. We'll just take 3 every time since we know that all the other ones will seem to work. And so you can see here, this is the end of the game, right? So sorry, you lose. There's now only 1 match left, so that's the only thing that the player can do is take that one last match. So it just says sorry, you lose, right? So that is a perfectly viable game, right? However, let's run this again. Now, how many matches do I want to take? What if I take some completely illegal number of matches? Let's say I try and take 20, right? So now the game breaks, right? There are now 1 matches left. I'll take minus 16, right? So that doesn't make sense as a move. It doesn't make sense as a game anymore. And even worse, I could type in something else, right? Some random letters, for example, and now the game just breaks, right? Because it's trying to do maths with the string and it just doesn't work. So we need to check to see that the player input is either 1, 2, or 3, right? And so that's what we're going to do next. So in here, we're going to create another while loop, right? And so remember back here, this is so we've done this while loop, right? We've created this while loop and the game basically works. We want to just create this section here now to make sure that they only input 1, 2, or 3. So let's have a look. So we'll go here, again, while. Now, what we want to check is that the player turn, so player underscore turn. Now we want to check to see that it's in a group of values. We want to check that it's not in. So not in. And now we're going to open a bracket and we're going to create a series of values here. So it's not in 1, 2, or 3, right? Then we're going to keep them in a loop. Now, I was going to show you how this doesn't work, but what we want to do is we want to make sure that the player term, which by the way, remember, is an input and therefore automatically a string. So we want to make sure that these are also strings. So we're checking to see, is it one of these? Is it the string 1? Is it the string 2? Or is it the string 3? And if it's not, then we want to be in this while loop. So again, type in colon, right? And now notice that automatically it indents us. So we've indented twice now. So this while loop is inside of another while loop. So there's now 2 indents, right? So what's going to happen here? We're just going to go print, we're just going to restate the player turn. We're just going to use this again, right? Just going to copy and paste that. Now, it doesn't really make sense to just say the same thing again. So you might instead, you might type in a different message here. So for example, sorry, 1, 2, or 3 only. How many do you want? Right, and you know, some sort of question like that. And so we're basically recreating or entering a new piece of data, or getting the player to input a new piece of data as an input here, and then we're going to check it again. So notice that this while loop is just one little loop that keeps on going until this is no longer true. So if it is in 1, 2, or 3, if it's one of these numbers, then we'll break out of that loop and we'll move on. So let's see if this works. So, right, so what's my name? Andrew. And right, let's play matchsticks. How many matches do you want to take? So let's try choosing a number that's not 1, 2, or 3. So 5, for example. Oh, and so you can notice that we're in a loop now. And so if I try something else, let's say 8, it's still not happy with me, so it's still keeping me in the while loop, and I can type in whatever I want here, and I'll still keep looping around, right? And now to make your game a bit more elegant, you could get mad at them if they, keep inputting incorrect data or illegal moves, and so you might have a counter. But I'll let you work out how to do that. So you might have a counter that counts up to 3, so they can input 3 illegal moves, and then once they get to the third one, you might say, look, you obviously don't want to play the game, we'll just end it, or something like that. And so it'll be a different way to end the game. But I'll leave you to sort of sort that out as a kind of extension. Right, so let's say that now I go, okay, fine, I've finally worked out that I can't cheat. So what if I put in a legal move, like 1, for example, and the game just continues. And then if it happens again, you can see that it just doesn't let me input anything that's illegal without it checking. like that. And that is basically it. That is the whole game, right? This is, not a very sophisticated version of it, but it does work, right? And so ways you can make this more elegant, you can use some modules, so you can use in particular the time module so that these things are slowed down a bit, so that there's some time to think and things like that. You could even have the text type out. I'll let you work out how to do that. Just go and Google it, and you'll find out how to do those sorts of things. What else? You could create versions of the game where the player doesn't always necessarily lose. For example, what if the player went second? I have to think about how that might work. Things like that, right? So what I'd like you to do is to first of all do the basic version of the game, and then maybe add one or two extra features to your game. So for example, making sure that they don't just keep going on and on with illegal moves. Or for example, you could create a self-running game that doesn't require any user input, so that has two players, but the computer plays both of them, and maybe one of them is a random number between 1 and 3 or something like that. So I think I'll stop the recording there, and then we'll see where we're up to.